What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be ranking every single Pokemon game in the mainline stories. There is a few that I haven't played, which obviously that is why there's a list down below. So any of them that have you played, let me know down below what you think about them. We're going to start off Red and Blue. These are personally, well, especially this one, we've got Red and Blue, and then we also have, I believe, Gold, is it here? Or Yellow, in fact, from obviously the start. These were the very first. These were I played at the very, very start of the Pokemon franchise, and they were incredible. If you've ever had a Game Boy, obviously growing up in that era, these were the best for me. They were the start of, obviously, a lot of Pokemon journey. I did kind of tail off towards more the DS sort of time. If they did go on to the consoles and went on to obviously Xbox, PlayStation, yada yada, we may have played them a little bit more, but with DS it kind of just went to consoles for me. So it was then more about the card collection rather than necessarily the game massively. Saying that, obviously coming back onto the Switch being its console self, again, it's got me back into it. So in terms of these two, these are prized possessions for me. Gold, I've still got all of the original cartridges for them, and they will always be in my list as the top tier. Compared to graphics, different Pokemon, obviously different storylines. Yes, there's probably better storylines out there now. Obviously, they've had years to make this craft, and obviously these games spans over the time of so long, which is incredible. And I think one game that definitely, in my opinion, really could be up there, and I feel like it is a shame that I'm not necessarily as a child anymore playing this game for the very first time, is Arceus. That one for me has so much potential. I love the different style of not necessarily having to constantly battle to level up. You're catching everything. It's all in the wild. I think the best bit for me is the fact it is literally all, you can see it. It's not just in grass and you have to keep running around. You can physically see the Pokemon there and then. They have their little spawns. Obviously, you can go to different kind of sides. And also, there is, especially compared to the first set, a very good amount of variety. And that is purely for the fact there is more than 151 Pokemon in this version. It would be nice, and I believe there is rumors of a total Pokedex game, like an open world Pokemon. That for me would be absolutely insane. If it was the Arceus sort of style, maybe the map was, it'd have to be absolutely ginormous to fit, I think, what, over 1,000 Pokemon in it. It would be really cool if you could get all of the legendaries as well. Whether we see that in the next couple of years will be a question, definitely, but it would be nice to see a new Arceus as well, go for a different god. But in terms of this, I'm on the fence, because in terms of the game itself, I am really, really stoked for it to be up there with the S tier. But I think in terms of storyline and obviously how it kind of fits, I do feel like it can get a little bit boring at times as well. If obviously you don't have certain elements of shiny catching, trying to catch every Pokemon in a living dex, getting everything to level 100. There is obviously things that you've got to do yourself rather than what the game presents. So for me, I think I'll stick in the A with it. If then we look at another iconic, we've obviously got ourselves the Fire Red and also Leaf Green. I think that's Emerald there as well. But in terms of this one, it obviously did follow on from, if I can find them, Ruby and obviously Sapphire. Again, with them, I think that was Emerald as well. They all are kind of the same sort of vibe. Obviously with Fire Red, if you have played it, it's just got an extension at the end as well. It's very, very similar in terms of everything that you've got to do. And I think, again, it's another classic from it. I think we had, what is it, Silver and Gold, and then it moved on to the Ruby and Sapphire, I think. It must have, because I'm pretty sure Lugia and Ho-Oh were second. These were the start of everything. The Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance Color. These lot, and especially the red and obviously blue alongside yellow, were elite for me. I think they were absolutely insane. In terms of where I'd rank them, Emerald, I think all of the basic starters for me were incredible. Emerald, Silver and Gold, Ruby and Sapphire, they were the elite of the elite for my growing up and playing this game. Then obviously Fire Red and Leaf Green, very similar to what we've already seen, with obviously the extension at the end, was always very good, but I do think it was still just a little extension. It could have been a DLC, if you would, if it was in the console sort of era. Then we obviously have Crystal. I didn't really play this one too much in terms of kind of we had everything else already, so it was kind of just continuing on the Fire Blue, restarting, trying a different way, maybe trying to get all the legendaries, trying to find Mew at some point. But I do think that game definitely has a big rep as well. We then have Colosseum, which I spent so much time on this. Nintendo 64, if anybody's done it, an incredible one. That and obviously the XD. XD I didn't really play too much, to be honest. We only had a little bit of go with this, and then obviously the Game Boy and everything took over pretty much massively. But Colosseum was elite, absolutely incredible. Loved that game. It is one of my favorites. XD, I think, for me, it's got to be up there, but I don't think it's necessarily on the same level. Like, I think in terms of an A, it would be the lower of the A in terms of what we're going to put. We then also have Let's Go Eevee and also Pikachu. I really didn't like it. I must admit, tried it, played it very, very little, and I wasn't a fan. I don't feel like many people were that much of a fan either, to be fair, and I do think there is arguments of the game that should have been better in my opinion. But then we move on to Scarlet and Violet, the brand new game that has came out. Again, I really like it. It's got the open world sort of feel. It is a little bit of storyline. Well, obviously it's got storyline, but I do think it's got that element that most of the original Pokemons don't have, and I think that is the direction that is really working for them. I know personally, in terms of from the comparison between the two of just battling in the grass, battling trainers, constant grind, flying to another area, I know it's very similar in that aspect, but just being able to see them is a massive bonus, as well as then the shiny hunt has now become a massive thing. I think Scarlet and Violet has done it really well. Again, whether I put another one in that top tier, I don't think that tier could be touched now without literally, like I say, an open world, every single Pokemon in there, purely by the fact that the nostalgic vibe of them is just so high. It would take a stupidly good game to be able to beat that, in my opinion anyway. We then obviously have Soul Silver and what is it? Soul Silver and Gold. I can't remember. Is it Soul? I can't remember what it was, but I can't read it. It's a little bit blurred there. But obviously, in terms of this, personally, I don't even remember it, to be fair. I feel like it was one of them ones that was just after me in terms of the DS, so I would have to say haven't played it. In terms of the rest then, we have Diamond and Pearl. Managed to give that go a little bit. Obviously that one, I believe, was on the Switch as well, even though it says, or was it Sword and Shield? Diamond and Pearl I've played on the computer, actually, I want to say, and it was, yeah, Sword and Shield that was the other one on the Switch. The rest of them, obviously, on the DS. We haven't played too many of them, but obviously we have got a few that we have played a little bit. We may have not gone level 100 on everything. I feel like anything in this sort of category, we've at least on one version of them absolutely smashed the game. In terms of Diamond and Pearl, to be honest, I feel like a B is sufficient. I feel like that was kind of like the last one until they realized we need to switch it up. Obviously, with the addition to the Switch, that one is a massive one. I do think Sword and Shield really rated it again. Love, obviously, the covers of Zamazenta and also Zacian. Beautiful cards and obviously beautiful Pokemon in the game as well. I think the last one that I played, actually bought the console, bought the disc, everything, was Platinum. This one, again, was absolutely brilliant. Really rated it. Incredible. We also have Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Whether I've played that alongside, maybe I've played that instead of Pearl and Diamond. It could have been. So I'm going to put them together. In terms of the rest then, I don't think I've played Alpha and Ruby. Again, don't think I have. That is obviously where you get the primals. So I may have to look in that again. Like I say, any games that I haven't played, let me know your opinions down below and where, or what is your number one game? What is the best Pokemon game for you? Because obviously the generations are going to say totally different things. I'd say this one I haven't played. We've played Black and White, and personally for me, again, very similar to the rest of them. I rated it in terms of the game. Obviously, it did go onto the DS, which added a different element compared to what I was used to with obviously a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Obviously, having the two screens gave them a different option to obviously have that second screen that could just be all menus and have the total screen dedicated, obviously, to the game itself, which always worked really well as they came out. Now I feel like everything needs to be played on a 32-inch screen instead of literally a screen that you're trying to find the nearest lamppost for. And then we also have X and Y. We've given a go, but I wouldn't be able to say it's a fair go. We've maybe played through half of the game and then really not played too much more. Obviously, the Pokemon on the cover, Yveltal and also Xerneas, I want to say, is I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong there. In terms of these two, not really played them, to be honest, so I can't really say that one. And then also with Sun and Moon, again, giving it a fair shot. I've given it a little bit of a shot, but whether I've given it enough to say you could rate it massively, that would be up to speculation, to be honest. Let's zoom in a little bit more if we can. Should be able to get ourselves in for the whole of this. And there we go. Let me know down below what your list would look like. Again, it's coming from the very original Pokemon, which is personally my favourite. Let me know if you'd like to see any more of these.